am Daniela DiIorio, and I am here with the beautiful and talented Susan Miller, playwright, web series writer, television writer, all of those fun things. So Susan, hi, how are you?
I'm really good.
Good. I just wanted to start talking to you about your background a little bit, like when you started writing and what made you decide that you wanted to be a writer in general.
Well, I was a big reader when I was young, when I was little, and I think the very first thing I wrote was pretty much a rip-off of a Nancy Drew book. Um, yeah, oh yeah.
I love Nancy. Oh my
Mystery,
gosh.
the Mystery of the Old Swimming Hole, I think, is the name of my little novel.
Oh,
Um,
that's awesome.
I know, and then my family gave me a typewriter. And I would put signs on my door keeping people out. I mean, that made me feel like a very serious writer. Um, and, you know, it's because I also like acting and literature in school, things came together for me. And I wrote my first play, which was called No One is Exactly 23, which I was at the time. It really was an absurdist play because I was also studying and reading Ionesco and Pinter and Albee and all those people. And so I really became a playwright. I had uh, um, a number of plays done at the Public Theater, the New York Shakespeare Festival. Joe Pack was kind of a mentor for me. And also the Mark Taper Forum in LA. And you know, just kind of all around the country, second stage in New York, and I also then took this little trek out to California. My life was kind of an upheaval. I had a baby.
Oh, fun.
Yeah,
I'm
and
sure that made it really easy to write.
right. No, it's funny. Every time that I was on a deadline, my son would get like an asthma attack, you know, or the flu, of course.
Absolutely.
Right. But you know, I went out to LA and actually I because my plays were done out there, someone introduced me to an agent to possibly write for film and television, even though I had not a clue about it. So I went into this agent's office, and at the time, playwrights were not in. I mean, there was no cachet to being a playwright, as there is today, especially in television. So this kind of statuesque woman comes in. Turns out she's Howard Hawks, the famous filmmaker's daughter, and she's about to fire her secretary. So I say, well, I'm here to get an agent, but I can type, so if you decide you're going to fire your secretary, I'm free.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So she fired her secretary. She ended up hiring me. I said the only caveat is that you read my work, you know, and then see where we are. She read my work. I worked her as a secretary for 6 weeks until she got me my first gig writing television. Do you believe it? I mean, it was actually like a Hollywood story.
That is totally a Hollywood story.
Yeah, it is. So I had been subletting someplace in the hills, and I got my first job so I could bring my 2-year-old son out. And that was the beginning of writing for film and television, but I kept writing plays. I mean, I got a couple of NEAs and a Rockefeller grant for my playwriting, and I continued to do plays at the Public Theater and at the Taper. So I was very much bi-coastal. You know, I would use the television and film writing money as my grant to then travel to New York to get my plays done. And yeah, so yeah, I covered a lot of territory genre-wise, and I think each thing I've done has informed, you know, the others. And you know, so when it came time to do a web series, I was totally open to the idea of doing something without any kind of interference from network executives, sponsors, or, even in the theater. There are a lot of people that, even though they're not allowed to change a word of what you write in the theater under the dramatist guild contract, it's still a very collaborative effort. And, there are a lot of voices in there.
So I'm pretty sure people aren't aware of this, as I'm not aware of this. In theater, there's actually a rule or law, I guess you would say, that they're not allowed to change any of your work once it's published, or
the Dramatist Guild contract specifies that the author owns the copyright.
Yeah.
What an interesting idea for Hollywood. The writer owns the copyright, and the director, the producer, the actors, no one is allowed to change a word without the author
permission.
Yeah.
That, to me, that just seems so, like, duh.
Yeah, I know. And it is the one thing. I mean, look, you're selling. I mean, you don't make any money. In Hollywood, you're really selling the rights. You really are, and it's a hard thing when you're comparing making, at high end, you can make a couple of $100,000 as opposed to $5,000 or nothing.
Yeah, nothing seems to happen quite a lot.
No. A lot.
Wow, that's really interesting. So now the reason why you were so open to going into the web, which was 2008, correct, was when you started, it was kind of, in a way, exciting to not have so many people, so many cooks in the kitchen.
Yeah, I also think to the point. I mean, I've done I sold a number of original screenplay ideas and got wonderful deals for them, but they weren't made. And I think coming to a point in my life where, like, that's a waste. And the last play of mine won all these awards, and it was done. It had Playwrights Festival, and it was done at another prestigious workshop, and it didn't get a production. And it was like, okay, it was mysterious to me, but the economy, the large cast of the play, whatever. I just wanted to do something where I was totally involved, and the web really appealed to me.
So now, when you and Tina started working on this, what was the inspiration? Why did you choose the topic? Two young women in high school that were, to clarify, we were talking about your web series Anyone But Me. Two young women that are in love in high school, and their father, one of the girls' father, has to move because of a sickness that he has due to 9/11, because he was a firefighter at 9/11. What inspired that? Where did this idea come from?
Well, Tina actually approached me. I'll never really know how she got to me, but she did. I'm one of those people that still answers the phone and answers.
Oh, what? Hold on, really?
Anyhow, it was her concept for the show, and I was drawn to, because I actually love writing about young people, and I was drawn to the milieu of that. She was looking for a consulting producer. I guess she knew of my work in the L Word and 30-something and other shows. And so I looked at her film work, and I read she was working with someone else at the time, had written some scripts for this, episodes, I should say. And I met with her, and I said, look, I am really interested in the area, but I want to write, and I'd want to be an executive producer and partner in this. because I also saw a lot of things that that needed work, that I wanted to change, that I wanted to create. And so once we entered into that, we did. We did a lot of complete change of some of the characters and the stories, obviously. And um, I think for me, was to show a relationship. And I had written plays where the central characters were either bisexual or had a relationship with someone of the same sex. But I hadn't concentrated on people that age. I really wanted to, because my feeling is high school lives on in all of us. And, you know,
Yeah, I
those,
know. It's LA. I feel like high school is everywhere.
right? I mean,
Yeah.
and so I really, and I wanted to make these characters specific and individual, but also accessible. And my feeling was we have to cast this with people who have a chemistry, and also that fans can discover them, so that they can invest in them. And that's kind of the beginning.
I mean, what I liked about Anyone But Me is, like you said, the cast was so relatable. Like you hit every type of person, and that's another wonderful thing about the web is that they weren't like cookie cutter pretty. They were pretty and unique, all of them in their own way.
Mm-hmm.
And Aster and again, I'm so sorry, I'm
Vivian.
horrible with names. Say the name.
Vivian.
Vivian. They were two different people and two different characters that everyone kind of knows that type of person, and it was so, I can see why on such a spectrum, like it hit everybody, every audience, and was so successful as it was, because everybody's been in that kind of position where you feel like you love this person so much and they're right there but they're not at the same time.
Yeah.
And
then,
go on.
No, I think the other thing was that we reached, had no idea just how many people we would reach. And nothing, I mean, certainly plays don't reach that many people. Even plays like, I did a one-person play called My Left Breast, which won an Obie and was done, I performed it, but it then was performed all over the world. And that play opened me up to wanting a kind of connection with the audience, that the web gives in a way. It really did. So there is a connection there. I wanted that. And it was surprising that the audience for our show wasn't just made up of young lesbians. It was men, women, straight people, which is what I hoped it would be.
Because it wasn't, I mean, although in the first season when Aster moved to the suburbs, it was it was a story about, it wasn't just about being a lesbian. I mean, that was actually what was really cool, is that was almost, in some sense, it was almost just the backstory, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. And I think that's why it wasn't just like, it was just more about a story about a relationship.
Right.
And that was that. And that was what was so cool about it. And that was what was so relatable, is that everybody's been in love, everybody has. Everybody's been in love and everybody's had their heart broken. That's the way of the world.
There you have it.
Yeah.
And, I think if you tell those things honestly, and with a mix of humor as well, because we did not want any kind of theme, issue-oriented show. I mean, it brings up those things, but it doesn't. That's not the basis of it. So, it's very, very. Yeah. As you pointed out, it's just human.
It is. It's human. it was just so good. Like I just remember watching it and ready to watch the next episode.
Great.
You know,
I love that.
it was really awesome. No, really, I was very excited to talk about your show. Very excited. That leads me into your other show, Bestsellers.
Right.
Would you like to talk a little bit about that?
Sure. Well, after the success, like the first season success of Anyone But Me, Wilson Cleveland came to me and said, we have a sponsor for a scripted, branded web series, and you'd be the perfect writer. It was a women's organization, not an organization, I mean, it was a company that found jobs for women. And this particular company just wanted something, they had no idea what, that spoke to their base, which would be women of different ages, women who worked, and that was basically it. So I was, very interested in doing that, especially, as a balance to writing about young people.
Yeah.
And I came up with this idea about women in a book club, because how else was I going to get these, varied women together? Really, they wouldn't be.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Yeah, no, you're totally right.
Yeah. So I came up with that, and of course, knowing that this was going to have humor too, and it would show the predicament. Like one was starting a blog. She just had a baby, so she was a stay-at-home mom. So she was starting a mommy blog. One was a travel agent who liked to work out of coffee shops. One was an entrepreneur who had sold her business and now was bored and wanted to get back in the workplace, but she was 50, and so she was experiencing, kind of ageism. And then there was an accountant who was just passionate about this book club, though very little book club got done during their meetings. And another person who was kind of a consultant to different people. And in this case, she was consulting with war vets and helping them make a transition to come home. Anyway, it was we had a great cast. I mean, and they were millennials is that how you say it, and baby boomers,
Yeah.
and X's. And one of my favorite episodes is called The War of the Ages. They're all like, at each other for their different, what each generation had was different from the other. And I think we did 8 episodes. The company was thrilled with what we did. And I just have to say, though, the great thing about their sponsorship was there wasn't product placement. There wasn't interference. I mean, literally, they had one note. So, I was a little concerned at the beginning that might, happen, but it was a dream, really. And Tina directed it.
As we were talking about it yesterday, you don't see that in branded entertainment right now. You don't see that often, and you're lucky. Like, that's so. That they didn't want you to be like, hey, listen, we like this because it's so great. Okay, let's get back to the story now. Sometimes it's so obvious, even in television, that you're like, oh my God, shut up, like, please.
It was, I mean, the idea of sponsorship there was just, hey, we want to reach these women. And what was great about it too is finally my friends watched this, and loved it. And they watched and loved Anyone But Me too, but this really spoke to a broad range of ages, and so.
What did you find? I mean, besides the apparent, a high school relationship as opposed to like the difference in different women in a book club. What did you find? Did you find any like similarities in the two stories? Besides the fact that they were about women, both of them, but did you get inspiration from one web series to the other, or when you were writing?
No, they felt very different, but in the sense that they were about relationships. That you know, um, that and that made me think that the people who watched Anyone But Me would also enjoy bestsellers, and it turns out that was the case. Um, and I think when you create a successful show, and that's where again, that's where the fans come in, the audience comes in, because they want to see what else you're doing, what else you're working on, and they'll tell you, and they didn't. I mean, they'll tell you if it's something they are not interested in. So, I think that Daniela, the key there is if you create believable, interesting, complicated people, you I think people are going to watch. In that regard, they were similar.
Yeah, no, I think you're absolutely right. If you create a good, complicated character, you have, in a way, more levels of, like, commonalities between you and the audience. Because the more complex you make the character, the more, people are going to watch, like, oh, that's interesting, or, whatever. And the more variations of that in just one character, that's what's awesome about it. And again, that's one of the reasons why I like Anyone But Me so much. But I wanted to know, so what do you prefer writing for, or do you even have a preference? Television, web series, plays?
Boy, I don't have a preference. I like television a lot because it's a writer's medium. I mean, the shows that I worked on, Trials of Rosie O'Neill, Family, 30 Something, The O Word, and some of the pilots that I sold or created were about, I feel like great TV and great web series are like the best of novels because they take you on this trip. They are layered. They leave you wanting more, like you said. They're like chapters.
Mm-hmm.
And this huge, bigger world emerges, and you can play in it for hopefully a long time. So I love series television. I love the web. There's nothing. I mean, film. I've liked the screenplays I've written, but I think
I bet so.
I've loved them. If you want to know, just don't want to brag about them. But because I wrote for Disney and 20th Century Fox and Universal and Warner Brothers, but there are too many people who make it impossible for it to happen. So I don't enjoy that prospect. And plays are just, the great thing there is the experimentation, the really having your own voice, playing with the theatrical, the third wall. Use it or not, the audience or not, tone, you can really bend tone.
Mm-hmm.
Though I think we did that with Anyone But Me also. I would love to, and I intend to write another web series, do another web series.
Oh, you would love to do another web series?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, call me. Maybe I'll be free.
All right. Deal. And look at all the really freaking talented people that I've met in the what is it?
Isn't that cool? I mean,
yeah.
Sometimes I sit down and I think about, we know so many people. I mean, because of this computer sitting in front of us. Right. How awesome is that?
Right.
I mean, we're so accessible now, like that, and because of this platform basically of entertainment, I get to know you in New York. Like, that's so cool. Like, I had no idea who you were 10 years ago, but now, because we basically are in this web world, like, we're all friends, and get to see all of our awesome talents. I love that. That's so exciting to me.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's just one of the really most touching things for me. It's so cool, and I don't know, to be able to be privileged to also, I guess in some of the award things where we had to really watch everybody's shows, pretty amazing. And I mean, that doesn't happen very often, and then we actually see each other. Oh, you're, that creator. Oh,
Yeah,
that's
I
you.
know. Oh, it's you. I know you.
I think about what else is interesting, and it's the connections people make that you sometimes don't even know about through your show. I mean, we had oh man, the great fun and also great experience of having Liza Weil
Oh, wow.
play Dr. Glass on Anyone But Me. She played Astor's psychiatrist.
Oh,
And
that's right. Yes, yes.
And Liza was the big star of Gilmore Girls, and she was on the first season of Scandal, and she's just great. Well, I met Liza at the Ojai Playwrights Conference with my play, and with Dad and Rescue, and she and Paul Edelstein, who was on Private Practice, star of Private Practice, they met doing my play. They met, they fell in love, and I married them.
Wow.
Yeah. Got me one of those fake, no, they got me one of those, minister things from the web, and I married them. And though the play wasn't done again, and that's the one that was so heartbreaking that it wasn't produced, they have a life together. And recently, the head of our fan club, Anyone But Me, Gemma Jacob, met her now wife because of Anyone But Me. And I think, man, there's life going on out there I don't know about, and it's damn exciting.
That is an awesome story. I'm so glad that you told that. That is so cool. Wow.
Yeah.
That's so she was on I did not even make that connection, but she was
Liza?
on yeah, she was on the first season of Scandal.
She was on the first season of Scandal. She had a running role. I think she died at the end. She was like had an affair with the president.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wow.
She played Paris on Gilmore Girls. Was a big role and for the entire.
I didn't even make that. I watched a few episodes of Gilmore Girls, and I totally didn't even. I knew she looked familiar.
Uh-huh.
Maybe the whole pregnancy thing kind of threw me. I'm not sure, but in Anyone But Me. But
well, and
so now you want to hear a weird coincidence? Now that you said Scandal.
Yes.
So in the second season of Leap Year, my character Olivia, I am in a relationship with Josh Molina, and Josh Molina now is on Scandal.
Scandal. Yes. Right.
Yeah. So I'm sure he knows Liza.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It's just so weird. Like, anyway, I had to tell you that because yeah. And then, ironically enough, the lead, Kerry Washington, her name is Olivia. And we were like, what? Oh my God. We were just silly little things that you get excited about. But, it's fine. I swear to God, I'm 30. Don't worry.
I believe it. I don't know, it just made me think, though, of all of the, I think what made Anyone But Me particularly connected for me to My Left Breast, which was the one-woman play that I did, were the responses of people that I was able to actually hear. I mean, so many people wrote to us for ABM, where was this when I was in high school, or you're telling my story, or you're telling my daughter's story, or just I loved when they took sides and when we gave the two lead girls relationship problems, people divided up into teams, because it was like,
I believe it.
Yeah, and that's good. You want that to happen. You
Yeah,
know?
yeah, because that means that everybody's invested. Absolutely. I totally get it. I totally understand. I have to ask you, why wasn't Archibald in the last season? He was so cute. Oh my gosh, I was
Yeah.
really sad about that.
Yeah, Joshua Holland was a natural, and we loved him. And what happened with Josh, and we didn't want to talk about this at the time, but Josh got a very big job training Madonna. Oh yeah.
Uh,
And if you've ever looked
what?
at that boy's body, you'll know why.
Oh
Yes.
my God, he was so handsome. I mean,
Yeah.
he is so handsome. And then I watched the Q&A session and he was talking and I was like, "Are you kidding me? You're just like you even seem like a nice guy. I kind of hate you even more. Like you're handsome
Yeah.
and you're really sweet." So, yeah.
He, yeah, no, he was. I think we were so lucky in the whole cast, but and that relationship. The thing is, we planned. I made Josh a cartoonist or a graphic artist, so that that would have a future in he and Vivian writing a comic book together. And at a certain point in the, I think it was the second season, we had to. We really had to rewrite fast and do some changes because of what was happening for him.
Hmm.
That was rough, and people
I'm
would ask,
sure.
you know what I mean? And you didn't want to say because it was Josh's, it was private, especially given who his boss lady was,
Oh my God.
you know.
Wow.
And I mean, gave him the opportunity to actually make a living. Um,
That's always good.
It is good, but those are the things. Listen, those are the things in web series and also in off Broadway theater that you deal with, that you work
Yeah.
with.
We had actually, for the second season of Leap Year, we had originally written in one of the ladies that we're going to be interviewing, Terry Reeves, a friend of ours. She was supposed to be in the second season. And literally, while we're filming, she calls me. I've been friends with her since I was 14 years old. She calls me. She's like, so something happened, and I'm freaking out about it. I was like, okay, are you okay? She's like, I just got a spot on Chicago Fire as a reoccurring role. And I was like, I don't understand why you're upset. She's like, well, I committed to you and blah, 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 blah. And oh my God. I was like, Terry, it's okay. Like, it's okay. Don't worry. Like, and we had to work around it and it was fine. And Lily Morrison actually ended up coming and doing a fabulous job as the crazy ex-girlfriend of Drew, or of Yuri. And yeah, it's the web. You have to be ready for that stuff, and
Yeah.
I'm sure as well as plays too.
I mean, yeah, in situations like where you're not able to offer, a comparative standard of living. Our first season, we actually, and because most of the actors were just out of school, we had a contract agreement with them that that first season they could not appear in any other web series.
Oh
And
wow, really?
I was following the model for television because I felt it was really important to establish their characters, for the audience. And if the
Yeah.
audience saw them elsewhere, it would diminish that, you know.
Yeah.
And then after we established that very solidly, it was like, well, you have a career, you have to do what you have to do.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Wow, yeah, I know that that's a model for television. I don't know if we had anything like that happen in. I mean, none of us were in Leap Year. None of us were in another web series at the time, um, and I don't
But did
think
you
Break the
have
Lake
to,
either.
did you have to also though reschedule things sometimes, or did that work
Oh,
pretty?
in Leap
Oh,
Year and in Leap Year and in Leap Year less rescheduling because we had to work around, for us specifically, we had to work around the celebrity schedules. So I guess we were more set as the ensemble cast, but the celebrities, we did have to reschedule a few things because I think Steven Weber, we had to reschedule something for him. Um, but I don't think we had to do anything for Eliza Dushku. I'm not sure. But I know for us, we were kind of set in, okay, like we kind of knew going into it,
Right.
you know, we might need to work around because they had, you know, we had a really good opportunity and we had to make it happen, basically.
Well, yeah. I mean, you have to set something almost in stone, and so but it is, you have to manipulate things. But I mean, the question about Josh or about Archibald, you know, there was one episode where he literally, we had to change it all. So, like, have you seen Josh? Where's Josh? I mean, the whole thing is like, where's Josh? Really? Like,
Oh God, he was so cute, Susan. I know I keep saying that, but I have a boyfriend. I'm happy, but oh my God, he was so cute. Anyway, that's my little confession to you. So thank you for casting him. I appreciate it.
okay.
Yeah, I appreciate it. You did that for me. I mean, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, great. So you said that you are writing a play right now. Is that the next thing that's in store for you? Is there other things that are happening, or?
No, I actually accepted a commission to write this play. It's something that I've never done before because I always associate that with a certain obligation that I've never wanted to have. But in this case, I'm working with a producer who's amazing. She's, you know, up front had a general sort of arena, a general, not even a concept. She wanted something to do with women and something to do with women of a certain age. That's all. And I said, well, you know, so there was negotiation and talk and whatever. And I said, but I have to come up with whatever I feel good about, and you know, I have to find the event that makes this play a play for me. And she said, in other words, you want to show me when you're all done, and I shouldn't ask any questions during the whole time. I said, pretty much. She, her name is Susan Nimoy. She's actually married to Leonard Nimoy, and they are a wonderful couple. And actually how that came about, I don't know if you've seen the celebrity interviews that we did for, or PR pieces we did for Anyone But Me. One of them is Zachary Quinto, who played the younger Spock in the Star Trek movies. Yeah.
Oh.
Yes.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, and Zachary was also in that wonderful cast of my play, A Map of Downton Rescue, with Liza Weil and Carl Edelstein, and that's and you know, got very, very close. So Zach called me one day and he just said, listen, I have these great friends, Susan and Leonard, and you know, Susan wants somebody to write a play about something, and maybe you should talk. And I said, well, sure, let's talk. You know, and several lunches and meetings later, I decided to go forward, and I'm about, hopefully in the next month, to turn in my first draft of the play.
Wow.
And then starts the whole next step of getting a play on.
Yay! So you're ready to take a vacation, is what you're telling me. That's,
yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
A little bit.
Yeah.
You know, once I feel like, though, once I have that draft, for me, a first draft of anything is really a third draft for anyone else. I mean, I'm very, you know, I just have to have it right, as right as can be for a show time. But so once I have that though, then I can open up more to doing other work. So even I can do that web show that we're going to do.
Okay, great.
All right.
I mean, everybody has their system. Like everybody has their way. You know, as we were talking, Erie and Vlad outlined. You know, you write a first draft that's really a third draft. Like whatever works for you. Because I know that people. I had an English teacher, really cool English teacher that I still talk to sometimes, and he was telling me that he writes every morning at 3 a.m. He sets his alarm, and he found out that was from 3 until 4:15 or something. And he sets his alarm, he gets up, he starts writing, and then he goes back to sleep. And he gets up, at 8 or 9 or whatever. And it was my last English class in college. Like you need to take that class to graduate or whatever. And he told us this story because he said, I just want you guys to know that, there's not one way of writing that works for everyone. Everyone will figure out their way. He was telling us basically we had to write a journal, and he's like, experiment, see what works for you. Sometimes you can write waiting for the bus. Like, it's okay, And yeah, I that really like stuck with me for some reason.
Well, it's very freeing too to know that, because when people ask writers or any other artists, well, what is your schedule like, or what is your process like? It's almost like, well, I can tell you, but it won't help you in any way. I mean, and mine shifts all the time, depending on the project. I mean, when my son was little, when he went to school as a little boy, I would go to the farmers. I lived in LA for a long time, and I'd go to the old farmers market there after I dropped him off at school. I worked there for a couple of hours, and then I'd work at night after he was asleep, like from 10 to 12. And that's what I did for a long time. It worked for me. Now I'm like antsy to find it. I did a lot of writing, and I do this. I did a lot of the preliminary writing of this in a coffee shop. And that's, the noise and the talk are just kind of background noise. They don't interfere, but now at this point they would.
Yeah, that's wow. Well, now, the talk in the background, is that something that you use sometimes? Like, will that inspire you, like, in dialogue? Because that was actually, again, I sound like a ridiculous fan, I'm sorry, but with the dialogue between all of the characters and Anyone But Me, it was really natural. Because, sometimes when you watch something, it's not, I don't know, it sounds too righty, I guess. I don't know how to say that quite right, but it was normal dialogue between people. And I just wondered if that's, now that you said the coffee shop thing, if that's something.
I mean, I think, no, I don't use literally what's around me.
No. I assume, yeah.
But the idea, I think, first of all, as a writer, especially if you're writing dialogue, if you're not a prose writer, but that you start to develop, or you should, an ear for how people talk. Now, I also, definitely take liberties, particularly in a play, of sometimes being a little more literary or a little more, of pulling something at, you know what I mean? I do not talk the way I write. I talk in ellipses. I don't finish sentences. You'll be waiting there and like maybe. But that is a way that people talk, and so I definitely do use that. But I'm able somehow to put more sentences together when I write.
Well, that's good. Sentences are good when you write.
But I think that's a very nice compliment that you think the dialogue is
Oh,
just,
yes, no, it's the
yeah.
truth. Like, it wasn't meant to be a compliment. It was just, it's real writing. Like, it's real dialogue, and it sounds natural. That's what I was
Right.
trying to say before. Again, I am
Yeah.
not a writer, so that is
And
why.
I just add that the actors that we work with brought those things to life. I mean, that they imbued their characters with that, with what was natural. I mean, we have to thank them for a lot of, for a great deal of what came out of the show.
Yeah, I mean, that was apparent. The talent was there. It was very much there. Where can we find you? Are you on Twitter?
Yes, you can find me. Like I said, I still answer my phone, though I won't give you that number.
Yeah, I was like, Susan, I just, you know.
I'm on Twitter. Susan Miller NYC.
Susan Miller NYC on Twitter.
NYC on Twitter. And I'm also on Facebook. That's the same, Susan Miller NYC. And I have the Anyone But Me website. Are you going to put that up, or should I mention it?
Please mention it.
That's anyoneButMeSeries.com. And my personal website is SusanMillerPlaywright.com. You find me on one of those, you'll get to all the other of those. If you
All
forget.
right. Perfect.